this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And if that light go out, then I'm replacing mine. I can't give up, no, I can't give in. Got so much fight within, I must win. There's no holding back, gotta go all in. 2 steps forward, no steps back, then repeat again. Sometimes you gotta let go and let God. Respect those who work hard, it's teamwork, play your part. And if you got doubt, then you're losing faith. Clear path, moving mountains out the way. No matter what you're going through, you can overcome the pain, overcome the rain.
How you guys doing today? Today I'm not going to talk about leadership. I'm not going to talk about success. I'm going to talk about tackling temptation. Like, as I know, as we go into March, we've all been faced with some type of temptation already early this year, and it's crazy because sometimes we can get overwhelmed and we can just get overcome by the temptation that we're facing. But we have to look at it like this: temptation is something common to everyone. All men and all women, they go through it, and everybody, they struggle with it. And how can you tackle it? How can you deal with this situation better, or deal with that situation better? And that's what I'm going to try to help you guys with today. So the first thing that we got to realize about temptation is only temporary. So no matter how bad it may seem, no matter how grim and dim, it's only temporary. Wherever we're at right now is only going to last for a short amount of time. We have to understand in that temporary moment that that's just a test. God is just testing our faith. He's just testing to see how strong we are, because we have to realize that God is not going to tempt us with something that we cannot handle. So understand that all the temptation that we face is temporary. Next, we have to be man enough and woman enough to acknowledge what the temptation is, what our weaknesses it is, what it is that we struggle with. So many times we want to shrug it off and be like, nah, I can handle this, or I can handle that. If they try me with this, or they try me with that, I'll be able to handle it. But in reality, we're giving ourselves too much credit, and we're not ready. We're not ready to handle that. And that's why God hasn't brought that temptation amongst us. So in that process, or in that moment of when you start to recognize and realize and understand what your weaknesses are, you also have to learn to avoid temptation. Don't go looking for temptation. Don't put yourself in a place to where you're going to find yourself struggling with this temptation or that temptation. So if you struggle with cheating, don't sit by the guy that you think you're going to cheat off his paper. Don't put yourself in those situations. If you struggle with drinking alcohol, don't go to the bar and expect not to drink, because that's your temptation, and you haven't got to that point in your life to where you can actually go to a bar and say no to the drinks. So you have to understand and realize what your weaknesses is, and then altogether try to avoid that temptation. And then lastly, this is what I really want you guys to hone in on, is that understanding that whatever you go through, it happens for a reason. So whatever your struggle with temptation is, or whatever it is, it's happening to you for a reason. And I say that because once you go through that temptation, because it's only temporary, that temptation then becomes your testimony. So once you go through that temptation, it becomes your testimony, because I say that because you can help others. They may be struggling with this, or they may be struggling with that, but whatever it is that helps you, you can try to, hey, let me show you what helped me. Let me show you, how I got through this. And the thing is, you don't have to have the same struggle of this temptation or that temptation with that person in order for your testimony to help them. They might have just needed some type of reinforcement because they've been doing a great job, and they might have got a little weak on the journey. So they may need somebody who's already made it to tell them, hey, I was where you were at one point, and this is where God brought me. I was where you were at a couple years ago, and look at me now. So that will reassure them that the temptation that they're going through, whatever it is that they're struggling with, is only temporary, and help them understand that they have to recognize their weaknesses and also avoid that temptation. Don't put themselves in a situation to where they're going to fall to that, and know that God is not going to put you in a situation or have you come up against something that He knows that you can't get out of. So I need you to remember that your temptation will ultimately become your testimony. I'll say it again. Your temptation will ultimately become your testimony. So remember that. And I just want to thank you guys again for listening and actually riding with me through the process of this little change up, because I didn't come at you guys with leadership or success. I wanted to talk to you guys about, you know, some issues that I know is going on right now, because like I say, it's common to us all and we're always struggling with it. No matter what the temptation looks like, we're all struggling with it. So I'm going to get out your way today. Thanks again for listening, and remember, you can never get too much inspiration.